There is a lot to talk about today. Most of it from ScottGames, but there's a few extra things I want to add on today as well. And I'm going to start off with a few personal things. First off, ScottGames has been posting every single day for the past, whole month, and I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. Maybe they'll slow down at the end of August. I actually think that'd be good. I think literally every single day is a bit much, honestly. So I kind of hope they slow down just a little bit, maybe every few days or every week. But the point is, they're posting a lot. And not gonna lie, I don't really want to talk about literally everything sometimes. Some of this is kind of stuff we've seen before at this point. Like talking about their merch stuff, the first time's cool because we get to say, oh yeah, they're printing merch stuff now. But not gonna lie, I don't really have a lot to say about this sort of thing. So up till the end of this month, I might do one more video at the end of the month, talk about everything they've shared. But after this month, or maybe even just after today, I am not going to cover literally everything they post anymore. I only want to cover the things that I think are actually interesting. And things like this aren't really interesting. Things like engagement bait aren't really interesting. I do think the books are interesting. I'm one of the few people who does actually care about the books, so you still see book news and stuff from me. Maybe not more cover arts, but you'll see some things from me if they announce a new book or something like that. But yeah, the point is, what I'm trying to get at here is that this is probably going to be my last video where I do and talk about literally everything Scott's been posting, because I only want to focus on things that I think are worth talking about, not just everything. There's plenty of other channels that will cover everything, like Watcher Johnny Blocks will probably talk about everything, like every single video of his, he'll go through everything that's come out. But yeah, I want to leave only the things that I find interesting. So this is probably not going to be as frequent anymore. I'm not going to be doing these weekly videos on this anymore. But to transition from that, there is actually a new video series I want to start up. There's a new weekly series that I want to start up where I've been wanting to talk about theories for a long time, basically. But I didn't want to make theory videos because most of my theories are kinda lame. Like, most theory channels try and break new ground and find new interesting connections all the time, and that's just not me. I'm more of a gamer than I am a theorist. So, when I theorize, I only really theorize to the point of just trying to get a general understanding of what's going on. I don't really care too much about trying to go deep into, trying to find new connections. I'm not trying to break new ground. I just want to understand what's really going on. And even then, I'm still don't even care that much. So, I do want to talk about theories. I think the theory space is really interesting, and I like talking about it. But it's hard to do that when I can't really make theory videos, when most of my theories are kind of just what most people are already saying anyway. Most of my theories are pretty common consensus, or at least close to. I don't have a lot of hot takes or crazy new connections or anything like that. So, to talk about theories, so far I've been just talking on live streams, but I want to still make videos. So, I have decided that every week I want to do a video series where I go into r/FNaF theories and do theory review videos, talk about other people's theories and my thoughts on them, and then maybe just give my 2 cents on them when I'm there. And as part of that, I also want to make sure I cover theories in my comments section. So that's the reason why I'm bringing this up now, rather than just starting the series when it happens, is because I want you guys to tell me in the comments, just give me some theories on any aspect of the series. The books, the games, Kenny's Pop Goes universe, hey, even some other fan games and stuff. I'm all down for talking about fan game stuff. No one talks about fan game lore, so I think that'd be fun to go into at some point. Speaking of, if there's any other fan games you guys want me to play, then let me know too. But just in general, Jesus Christ, I'm not saying that correctly at all. Drop some theories in the comments, and yeah, I'll talk about some of them at some point this week again. Well, maybe not this week, because it's kind of the end of the week, but at some point next week, I'll start that up. And also, one more thing, or 2 more things actually, that I want to talk about is that there's another series I want to start off, which I want to do every single month. So as you guys know, I make games. Cheeky Secret Party is by far my most popular, but I've made a quick fan game that I made in about a month, and I've also made a relatively original project as well, and I'm of course working on another original project right now. And I kind of want to do development logs, talking about the stuff I'm going to be doing in my future games as they're going on, to try and keep myself accountable, because sometimes I go a long time without developing anything, and it means the game doesn't really progress as fast as it should. So I want to start doing these development logs at the end of every month, just to talk about the progress I have made that month. And to be fair, when I'm working on things like videos and stuff as well, the progress isn't going to be that crazy. But yeah, I still do want to try and talk about stuff when I can, keep guys in the loop about the progress. Ooh, why did I struggle so much saying that word? Trying to keep you guys in the loop on the progress I have made, and I generally hold myself accountable to making sure that my development is going well. So that is something I want to do from now on as well. And one more thing to address. Sorry, it's taken me a while to get to the news, but as I said, got a lot to talk about, and I want to talk about some things related to me as well. And I thought the start of the video is the best place for it. Is that I got a new microphone. So in the past few videos, my microphone has been cutting out, and it's been bothering me, and I'm sure it's been bothering some of you as well. This microphone may be better or may be worse than the old one. I don't know. Maybe it's a better mic, but I've just configured it worse. No idea. But I did want to replace it just so it didn't cut out as much, because it did really bother me how often it cut out. So yeah, sorry if if the next few videos kind of has me experimenting with microphone settings and whatnot. But yeah, I've wanted to replace that. And that's why I might sound different today. My notification just went off. What? I'm kind of in the middle of recording something, mate. I'm gonna check Discord right now. What is this? How important do you guys think this is gonna be? This is interrupting my recording session. This better be good. Oh boy, it's someone sharing a paint drawing. That's fantastic, of their original character in some random server that I don't even know why I have notifs on for. Fantastic. That was probably a bit mean of me. Okay, now to some actual stuff that you guys are actually here for. So last time I talked about news, I covered everything up until this collab, which is, again, very obviously Fortnite. And so I'm going to cover everything from this point to today. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the new Nexi cover art, which, yeah, as always, looks pretty good. And this is the old one for comparison. So this is the old one, and this is the new one. Now, this one is a lot more accurate to the story itself. I also love that they put it in the, with plushies and whatnot, because it kind of represents it's in the Buddytronics boutique. So, yeah, I think this is a good cover, but not gonna lie, I did kind of have a little bit higher expectations, I'm gonna be honest, because I think there's a lot of things you can do with a creepy doll on a conceptual standpoint, and I feel like I remember reading the story, and the description made it feel like it was really messed up. Not gonna lie, it doesn't look that messed up, in my opinion. I feel like they could have been taken further. I feel like it could have been a lot creepier than it is, but, I mean, it still works, and I'd still prefer it over the original, but it's probably one of the most underwhelming cover arts up to this point, in my opinion. The next one is the new cover art for Tiger Rock. Again, art looks great. I love the glitchiness they put in everything, but let's compare it to the old one. This is the old cover, and this is the new cover. Now, I don't know if I'm a big fan of the close-up, not gonna lie. Especially for such an iconic character design, I feel like keeping it a full body shot, something would have been a better move. Maybe doing something more with the setting while they're at it. But they've kind of just focused on this being a close-up of the character with just a bunch of glitch effects and glitchy background. I feel like there's more that could have been done here. But, I mean, I still prefer it over the original. I don't know why the original cover art here did so much random stuff. Like all these weird claws and the withering and his hand's broken, I guess. This is weird. So much random stuff was thrown onto this design. That I do like this one a bit more, but I do have my one little criticism here, which is, although I like the glitchy effects and I like the high quality art and I love the outfit details here, there's one thing I want to criticize, which is that the design itself looks too much like a Glamrock. A lot of people are actually praising it for some reason for that, but if you've read the original story, you'd know that's not what it's supposed to be. This is a part of a VR attraction that shows you like the future of the Pizzaplex, and the futuristic Glamrocks look very different to the ones in game. They look more like anthropomorphic animals than animatronics. So they're not supposed to look robotic. This looks a little too much like the Glamrock animatronics, looks a little bit too robotic still, and it also lacks the fur. One of the most memorable details for me with the Futureplex Glamrock animatronics in the simulation is that they all have fur. They're very furry animatronics. which even the original cover art, I think, did that. Yeah, the original cover art had the fur accurately. But yeah, this one doesn't really have that. So yeah, I found it really weird that so many people are praising it for a detail that's actually inaccurate. But that's my 2 cents there. If anything, this is more accurate. This is what Tiger Rock looks like. Oh, okay, maybe not that to quite that comical of an extent, but yeah, you get the point. It's supposed to look like an actual animal head, not an animatronic head. From what I remember of the description anyway, maybe I'm misremembering. But yeah, I did want to call out my little criticisms there. Next thing ScottGames shared was a DJ Sturf beating 50-20 mode, which was pretty fun that they're sharing stuff from the community. I like that. This is another one of those things like before when we talk about the engagement bait posts and whatnot, where it's like, yeah, it's cool that they're now doing this as a thing. I'm excited for the more things that they share in future. But also, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. Like, if I'm not doing full news videos, I'm doing one on every and I'm only doing things on like every individual thing that I think is interesting, this would not be what makes the cut. This is interesting to talk about now because it's the first time I've done it, and it's going to be a new thing I'm going to be doing going forward. But when they start doing more of these, it's just kind of like, yeah, that's cool, and then that's kind of it. But yeah, I do appreciate this though, for sure. The next thing they shared were these a teaser video, a trailer video for the new Jazzwares merch. I believe I can mute myself. Sorry. So yeah, that's the trailer video. It's really cool. I really like it. I think it's a really fun little video. I'm not a big person who buys merch, so I don't really care about this sort of thing too much, but I do think the idea of doing this sort of thing is really fun. Also, some people have said that there's a glitch at the end here, which kind of makes it look like a 2. I think that's just the distortion effect, because the distortion effect does stretch, like it starts off stretching the Five Nights at Freddy's logo, right? And then it scrolls down and it starts stretching the security breach logo. And then as it goes down the triangle, because triangles, are triangular, then it starts stretching a different part of the logo, and that's how this is created. So it's just part of the distortion effect. It's not actually saying it's 2. And even if it was, what would that even mean? Like, what, the Glamrocks are part of security breach 2? I would assume so. I mean, to be fair, maybe some people, that's shocking for some people, I don't know, man. I don't think that's intentional. And even if it was, I don't think it's anything crazy anyway, but I did want to call it out because I knew that someone would be like, oh, but you didn't talk about the obvious glitch here, and it's like, I don't think there's much to say, mate. Okay, so the next one I've already kind of scrolled up to spoil a little bit. I think this is today, no, it's not today's, is a new poster for the real-life Freddy Fazbear's Pizza with Foxy on it. And as a lot of people are calling out, the map is FNaF 4, which is really, really fun. And there's a bit of contention here, actually, a little bit of a controversy. Why is it so zoomed in? And where people are debating, is this character Seagoon or Supergoon? Now, here's my 2 cents here. This is Supergoon, because this is the top of Lily Gear Lake. This is just the top. This is not the full thing. It's just the top cut off by the bottom of the map. And Seagoon roams around Lily Gear Lake, whereas Supergoon is the one at the top, where you fight as the Guardian when you get the key. So, this is likely Supergoon. So that's my 2 cents in that debate right now. Feel free to flame me if you disagree. But yeah, Seagoon and Supergoon are 2 different characters and encountered at different times within the game. Now, the other elephant in the room is that this Foxy is not damaged. Obviously. Why would a poster use the damaged Foxy? It kind of weirds me out a little bit where people are like, oh my god, the poster uses the normal version of the character? Like, yeah, why wouldn't it? But it did kind of raise the question of like, okay, well, is Foxy in the attraction going to look like the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Foxy, or look like a fixed version of the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Foxy? Now, originally, I would assume they would use the damaged one, because it's the iconic design from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. But if you remember back in these previous teaser I talked about in a previous video, If you zoom in on this, I guess just take my word for it. Yeah, here we go. You zoom in on this, and it says August 8th, 1980. So that seems to be the 1980s is when this real-life pizzeria is themed around. That's when it supposedly takes place. It's the 1980s version. So it actually kind of does make sense if it is the fixed version, because Foxy probably wasn't withered by then. That being said, Foxy Go 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 still shows that he is, so like, you know, I think they'll still use the damaged version, but I did just want to call that out just for a little fun little extra there. And then we get to today's post, which is the latest and final Tales Peace Plus cover art, which is what most people are talking about today. The new B7-2 cover. And this was the this is the previous cover, this is the old one. Now there is actually a bit of a cover evolution here. So this is the original cover art, and then they changed it to be more saturated, so that it's a bit more colorful, and they changed it again to fix the missing 8 here, and they changed it one final time to darken the background and to remove the orange eyes. I guess Scott saw the orange eyes and were like, no, people would connect this the wrong way. Because, you know, the Mimic's orange eyes are kind of iconic to the character at this point, so I assume that was changed to not confuse with Scott's future plans. But yeah, aside from that, it then got changed from this to this. And not gonna lie, this cover art really caught me off guard. I was excited to see how they would approach B7-2. This was not what I was expecting. This is a very different interpretation of the design. And it still works, because the story is about, so a lot of people are talking about B7-2's story, but then for some reason summarizing the original B-7. I have actually read the books, so I know what the second one is about. So B7-2 is about the, okay, so I guess I should probably summarize the original as well, because it's kind of relevant, because it's a sequel to the original. But the original B-7 is about a kid named Billy, who wants to be an animatronic. So he gets a lot of his inside, his body parts replaced with animatronic parts, and and then he realizes what he's done to himself and tries to commit suicide. B7-2, that fails. He did not commit suicide. He gets saved. He gets taken to a hospital, and yeah, now he's separated into two people. One is Billy himself. He gets, I think, gets transplants to make himself not an animatronic anymore. He's back to a person. He's not fully altogether. He's still missing some parts of himself, but he is a living being fully now. He's no animatronic parts anymore. He's been saved, and the animatronic parts were, you know, separated. And those animatronic parts still have some remains of Billy inside. And they try to fuse back with Billy because it believes they should become one. So, yeah, B7-2. This character right here is the animatronic half of Billy that still has some of its insides left here. So it's still pretty accurate to the design. Honestly, I think this one was pretty accurate to it as well. It's mostly animatronic parts with just some human parts thrown about. Same thing here. This one looks, honestly, more human, more organic than I would have expected, to be honest. Because I would have assumed that his head would be salvageable. Like, they had to get the brain out at least, right? So they had to get some of this off to be able to access that. But anyway, this has just very much caught me off guard. I keep wanting to, like, criticize it because it doesn't really fit my vision very much. But it's kind of difficult to, because I think it's still accurate. It's just vastly different to what I'm used to. So I still do prefer, in terms of art, I always prefer Snartles' art. Her art's just better than Fizzy, I believe, made this art. But yeah, in terms of design, it's such a different direction for the same concept. So honestly, I want you guys to tell me. Tell me in the comments. I'm going to have like 50 million call to actions by the end of this video. Which design do you prefer? Because they are, I feel like they're very different. But I do like it. And now that's all from ScottGames for today. So now I'm going to do a little bit of extra stuff from Nixon for the Joy of Creation and SteelWool because they've Vagueposted again, basically. So I'm going to play the Joy of Creation new teaser. It's not anything crazy, not going to lie. If you guys don't know, I'm really, really excited for the Joy of Creation. But yeah, this teaser isn't anything super insane, but it's still cool, so I'll play it. Yeah, that's it. So just a short basement teaser. I don't know what this is in the background. This looks like something, right? It looks like something to me, but I just can't. Oh wait, it's the background of the image. Okay, never mind. But yeah, this is just a short little basement teaser. We knew the basement was gonna be a level because it was in the original Joy Creation story mode. Really, really cool visual. That solves literally everything we've seen from this game. So yeah, it's nothing too crazy. But I think the most interesting thing here is this 10. In the original The Joy of Creation, this number was showing you what level you were on, if I recall correctly. So I think that means there's 10 basement levels rather than 5. I think it was 5 in the original. So double the length basement. If you guys remember what the basement was like in the original The Joy of Creation, it was scary. It was one of the scariest levels in the game. So I am excited and a little bit anxious for this. But yeah, really cool visual, short little teaser. It's fun. The next one is from SteelWool. They've Vagueposted again. So they've done a little spot the difference. Here's image 1, here's image 2. And basically the differences are this pizza box opens, this mycelium man is green, and this monitor is static out. See? Yeah, those are the 3 differences. I don't think there's any more. Some people are talking about dispatch being missing. That's just for game design reasons. For the purpose of this screenshot, they just loaded in the office area. Dispatch is actually not part of the office level. He's part of a full world environment level. So he is always loaded in, so you can always hear him, even when the office itself is unloaded. So that is why he's missing here, because he's technically not part of the same level, even though he's even though he's supposed to be in this room. So yeah, there's no big conspiracy as to why he's missing. It's just because of how SteelWool developed the game. But damn, I was losing my shit at this in earlier recordings before I tried to record this beforehand. As you guys know, I tend to do multiple takes because I sometimes screw up the first few times. I completely lost it seeing Why is he green? Why are you green? Alright. But yeah, I don't know what SteelWool are leading up to. Last time they did these Vagueposts, it led to the Security Breach 2 teaser. So, you know, when they start going back to it, making me look at it and go, SteelWool, what are you planning? What are you plotting? What are you doing? This itself, I don't think there's anything really relevant to it. It's just there's an office level from Secret Mac. Or it's the storage office specifically. I don't think there's anything hidden here. Some people are saying there's a Vanya mask. That is a hoax. Someone's just edited that in. So yeah, there's not really much to talk about here. If this was a me not doing a full news video and just me going, ooh, I wonder what's interesting to talk about today, this image would not have made the cut. Alright, so there's still a few more things I want to cover though. The first one is I want to promote a video. This video, The History of Security Breach by LoonMoon. I think this video was really, really good. It's full 2 hours. I'm not going to react to the full thing today for obvious reasons, but I've watched through it already, and it's a great video. And the reason why I'm calling it out today is because of they interviewed a Security Breach developer, and there's a couple of interesting insights they give. I don't remember all of them, but some of them are pretty interesting. Like one of the ones I want to call out today and just talk about just right now, just as an example, as one I remember, is that COVID actually did quite a bit of damage to this game. So when you have COVID happening, SteelWool had to set up remote work so people could work from home, and I guess they couldn't quite figure out how to get that working in the quick amount of time they had to figure that out, and it caused some issues. So one developer would patch some bugs, another developer would do something, and then when they're done doing their something, the first developer's work was undone. So the actual specific example given in this video is that a lot of bugs in Security Breach were actually patched before the game came out, but other developers' work caused those bugs to come back because it kind of rolled back to an earlier version or a different version of the game. So they didn't really have a good version control setup going on here. And so yeah, it's interesting that the COVID issues caused that damage to the game, and if COVID hadn't have hit, the game wouldn't have been as buggy as it was. That's kind of a little bit interesting tidbit, and there are other interesting things as well in this video, I just don't quite remember them. It's a full 2 hours, man. Give me a little bit of a break. I'm not remembering everything from here. But yeah, I did want to highlight this as a pretty cool video that you guys should totally check out after this one. Which kind of leads me into, not leads into this, but it kind of makes me want to talk about the last thing, which is a leak. It is not a recent leak, it's an old leak, but it's an old leak that I knew about, but didn't know the full story on, and so I'm going to cover it today because there's some interesting things in the leak, but if you don't want to see anything about leaks, then this would be your time to click off and watch this video instead. So here's the 2017 Bucket Bob leak. Specifically, this image right here. I knew about this image, but it's not just the image, there was also an Ask Me Anything. They kind of revealed a few more things outside of this. And I didn't know about the Ask Me Anything, and now some interesting stuff from that Ask Me Anything. So first off, credits to GB Aura, Game of the Year Rose, Just Chrono, Sebi, Chopper, Sidrox, and Leaky for getting all this documentation done and trying to find out all the information about this old leak when a lot of information from the time has been mostly purged. So good job trying to get all this information back and for compiling this document. And I'm just going to skip right to the part that I think is interesting to talk about, which is this. So, this is the thing said in the Ask Me Anything, but the problem here, don't take any of this as a gospel. I'm going to say this right away, actually. Even when I get to the stuff later on, do not take any of this as solid information, because this scenario was basically someone was friends with one of Scott's sons, and one of them, Scott's son was obviously, since they're Scott's son, they knew some stuff behind the scenes, and so there's a little bit of, he said this, they said that, and basically some information from behind the scenes from Scott got leaked out here. So yeah, I'm not going to go through this because a lot of this was completely BS and misinformation. We're going to talk about the version that was refined with the inaccurate information removed, which leaves us off with these 6 points. The most interesting parts of the leak, I guess, the leaked information. Now, a lot of it is pretty obvious that we already knew about, especially stuff about the box. Scott's talked about the box a lot over the years. He's talked about it on 2 interviews, like from Dorco. He's also talked about a bunch in old Steam posts. So, like, number 1, the contents of the box tie up the story. Yeah, obviously, Scott himself said it's the pieces put together, so that makes sense. I think there are another multiple points down here also about the box. Yeah, the box referenced a couple of times since FNaF World, but since this Ask Me Anything happened before Pizza Sim, then that means somehow sister location tied into that. And also point 5, where the contents of the box changed over time. Again, things Scott himself had also confirmed. So, aside from things like the box, there's another one which is kind of obvious. Number 6 is a lot of the details in the lore were forgotten and are irrelevant. Like, yeah, of course they are. Not every little detail is going to be important. That's just what story writing is. I don't think anyone is mourning JJ's lack of importance. So, yeah, now I want to talk about these ones. These ones here, which I think are the more interesting ones. Number 2, the nightmares weren't real until sister location. Makes sense. I think most people agree on that. Scott's son, they've used Chop to refer to Scott's son, says that they believe that this is the one retcon Scott was talking about back prior to Pizza Sim. I don't know if I agree with that. I know Scott's son says this, but they don't say this with a lot of confidence, first of all. And second of all, really? This is the one retcon? Like, you gotta remember, Scott said that the retcon was seamless, something no one noticed. People frickin' noticed this, that the nightmares went from nightmares to real things in experiment and observatory. People noticed that, people talked about that. There is no way that's the seamless retcon Scott was talking about. Plus, if it was the retcon, then did it get unretconned later? Because the survival logbook came out later on and still confirmed the nightmares are nightmares. It just, I guess, the nightmares gets coexist with the real ones. There's some room for theorizing on how those two things connect, but FNaF 4 is still a nightmare. It didn't change FNaF 4, it just changed some of the context there. So yeah, I don't know if I agree with this, not gonna lie. Or I'm not sure I agree with this. I agree with this. I don't know about this. The idea that the nightmares being real was the seamless retcon made to the story, I don't know if I agree with that. But I would agree, makes a lot of sense that they weren't real until sister location. And then point 3, the last point I want to talk about here. The toys seen next to the playground girl in FNaF 4, and Scott's question regarding that topic on the Game Theory livestream, you know, the why is a tiny toy Chica missing her beak, was apparently meant to foreshadow how the figurines later become actual animatronics. Now obviously, that's not foreshadowing. That's the wrong word, because foreshadowing is placing a detail early on and then expanding on it later. This is, we already knew about 3 animatronics, this was retroactive context given later. This is very different to foreshadowing. But, besides that, this seems to imply that the tiny toy Chica was missing her beak, because the toys came first and the toy animatronics were based off the toys. This is already a popular theory, I myself already believe that theory, so it's a little bit of supplementary evidence for it, but again, all of this is very, very weak. Please don't use stuff like this as actual evidence, because even though this is supposedly the no inaccurate info version, it's still at the end of the day, someone trying to remember what someone said, what Scott's son said, from just being with Scott. Like, it's not from Scott directly. There's a lot of Chinese whispers going on here. So, don't take this as gospel. Please don't use this as definitive evidence. If any of these things back up any of your theories, then, your theories have better evidence than this. I promise you. As I said, we know all this stuff about the box, we know from other sources. This one is just obvious. And these 2 things have better, more obvious signs of being the case than what's being said here. So, yeah, I want to call that out because I think this list was interesting. But, yeah, I don't want you guys to be using this as solid information. I just want to talk about it because I thought it was neat. That, yeah, apparently this stuff was supposedly leaked ages ago. Back in 2017. 9 years ago, by the way. Pizza Sim came out 9 years ago. Let that sink in. Actually, don't let that sink in. Whatever you do, do not trust that sink. That sink will steal all of your belongings. But anyway, that's everything I want to talk about today. This was 30 minutes. Ooh, quicker than my previous recording. Nice, good job, Toasted Perfection. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about for today. Again, go watch this video by LoonMoon, and tell me in the comments, give me some theories to talk about later when I make that video on, like, theory review video. Give me some theories to talk about. And, yeah, I guess I'll leave it there. That's nothing else to say. Let's not ramble on too much. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And, that next time will be a Secret of the Mimic video. It's already scheduled. And it will not be... There probably won't be any more of these big news videos unless there's something interesting. I don't want to be a guy who... I mean, I've already said that. I just don't want to be a guy who covers literally everything. You got Johnny Blocks for that. I only want to talk about things that are interesting. I'm sorry for rambling. I'm terrible at outros. You guys already know this. And goodbye.